Welcome to Legal Keys, unlocking time, revenue, and results. The podcast that connects you with the people, technologies, and trending topics shaping the modern legal landscape. From cutting-edge AI innovations to high-growth marketing strategies and everything in between. Legal Keys is your go-to resource for actionable insights. Brought to you by Faster Outcomes and hosted by Tim Sawyer, two-time Inc. 500 co-founder entrepreneur. We're here to help you navigate the tools and trends driving success in today's legal world.
Hello and welcome to Legal Keys, brought to you by Faster Outcomes, the AI-powered ultimate legal intelligence platform for law firms and lawyers of all shapes and sizes. I am so excited to be here today. I'm your host, Tim Sawyer, and we have a special guest for a very special occasion. The first released recorded episode of Legal Keys, the first of many. Decades from now, we're going to look back on this with my guest today, laugh and reminisce, and at that point, we'll have millions of listeners all over the world. This will be the #1 top legal podcast, and we'll always remember this day. My special guest is Autumn Piccolo, and I want to just her bio is so incredible. She's got such a unique role for running a law firm that I want everyone to just take a minute and pay attention to this incredible bio. Autumn Piccolo, a seasoned executive entrepreneur, you don't hear that all the time in legal, and strategic advisor with over 15 years of experience driving business growth and innovation. As CEO, she leads organizations with a customer-centric approach, focusing on market expansion, operational excellence. Autumn co-founded the American IV Association to support IV hydration providers and played a key role in launching Bend at Bend, a regenerative medicine clinic. So such an incredible, eclectic background. I can't wait to do this. She's also a strategic advisor and investor in Lumohs Dermaplane, helping shape brand positioning and revenue strategies. Autumn's expertise spans finance, marketing, and business development, making her a powerhouse in driving industry success. Autumn, welcome to Legal Keys.
Bring her on. She sounds great. Thank you very much, Tim. I am so happy to be doing this with you and kicking this off and being part of the first episode. This is awesome. We're very excited.
Epic.
Yeah.
This is epic. So the first thing is I'm talking to someone who's not a lawyer, who runs a very successful law firm with the title of CEO. And that's a little bit unique, right? So tell us a little bit about how did you end up, first of all, how did you end up at Florida Healthcare Law Firm? And what was that conversation like? Was it with Jeff? And what, tell me about that.
Yeah. Okay. So yes, I am the CEO here, and I did not start that way. About 15, almost 16 years ago by now, I had actually been in the business of sales, and I was selling art. And around that time, you may recall, there was an economic downturn, 2008, 2009, and nobody wanted to buy art. And what had been a great business prior was really in a rough spot. So I actually went looking for just something to kind of get me through, because I didn't know what the time frame of that economic downturn was going to be. Yeah. And I met Jeff at a time when he had launched his practice and had been out on his own, started his own business. He had been about a year in, and it had gone kind of off the cliff. Everyone he had hired was not there. It wasn't working. He was losing money. And I think he was just desperate enough to hire me to answer the phone. Yeah, he gave me a shot. And I had been there a month or two when the only couple of people that were left walked out. People were frustrated. The business wasn't doing well and wasn't really a business. And Jeff kind of looked at me one day and said, "Do you want to stick around and see what we can create together?" Yeah. And as a kind of a lifelong contrarian, I was tickled by those words. And it felt like there was going to be something that we could do together that would really be special. And I had the autonomy that I wanted. And we built a relationship over many years kind of from that starting point. So I did start answering the phones, doing the bookkeeping, learning the marketing, and I was learning everything on the spot, on the job, kind of in tandem with Jeff as he provided the legal services. And he had enough of a reputation at that point, because he'd been in private practice for, I guess at that point, 25 years or so.
Yeah.
So he had a reputation, but no website and no marketing and no sales process and no business operational insights, no really concept of what it was to run a business. So we learned together for first couple of years were a little bit shaky and rocky. And, since then it's been kind of recommitment of what we're going to focus on and how we're going to grow this business. So it started there. And I just kind of started hiring off all the pieces that I really wasn't suited to do, but I was able to do. I would just hire other people to do those jobs that really were qualified and would do them better than I. So I had learned just enough to be dangerous, but not enough to stay doing them.
It's so the way what I'm hearing is it's kind of like the old adage, right? You're someone who can work on the business, where it feels like someone who's trained law school, right? Their vision is, okay, they're going to look at things from inside the business. You're almost stepping above it and saying, well, first of all, recognizing that this is a business. While it says law offices of, right, it's really a business. And so talk about the uniqueness of that, right? And how did that impact decisions that you made along the way as you started to scale?
It's
a pretty
that's
big
an important distinction. That role of CEO is really primarily responsible for the outward growth and the outward focus, like from the business out and kind of looking at the business, from above. Whereas someone like Jeff, who might be in a managing partner role or, primary shareholder at a law firm, their responsibility is inward. And it's in developing, those processes inside that result in an excellent legal product, and they're providing services and things like that. So it's much more granular. It's much more hands on the wheel. And at the point in the very beginning, of course, I was learning all of the business, operational areas of focus, but also looking at them like, I shouldn't be doing this. I shouldn't be doing the bookkeeping. How can we look at what's next? How can we kind of take that leap and look at what from the outside, what the business needs? So it's definitely two different roles. And I have found a lot of times in some of the other businesses I've been involved in, it's not usually the same person who's able to kind of do both. So it's great to have someone in tandem that you're bouncing things off of. And the considerations are, well, maybe we should, hire this person, and how will that impact this? And do we need this? So that we kind of did something we called the Vulcan mind meld, where it was like we kind of knew how the other person would think about it and would work together to go through every decision. And, even something simple, what made us a business in the very beginning, there was no business, but business has operations and it has marketing and it has, a savings account or a war chest for when things go wrong. It has redundancy. It has so many elements that when you're starting out, you don't have any of that. And so you have that chief cook and bottle washer, which was Jeff. And that did not go very well for him. And kind of just having that second person to bounce those ideas, and also kind of who is responsible for all the other stuff. There's the service that you're offering, and then there's everything else.
Everything else. So before we transition into the next topic, I just want to provide a takeaway here. So I was talking with an attorney today. He's been working in a large corporate practice his whole life. Focused on securities and exchange compliance, deals, that kind of thing. And he has come to a conclusion that he now wants to leave, and he's contemplating opening his own law firm.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because as he was discussing what the considerations were, whether or not to do that, it was, none of it said to me that he thought about, how am I going to market this? How am I going to get clients? How am I going to, and I'm thinking going from large corporate law to not even mid-law, but single practitioner without the business focus. Like if you were talking to that avatar, I want to go from big to small, small to a little bit bigger. What are like the top 2 or 3 things you say? Here's what I would consider.
Wow. I would consider right away, who's going to run the business? And kind of raising that question of, it's not you. who's going to run the business and who's going to be responsible. And again, you could encounter someone who's got that skill level of being able to do enough that you've got, that number two who's responsible for everything from the phones to the invoicing. That would be kind of number one. I would want to say who's operationally going to be responsible. And then number 2 and 3 is sales and marketing. Word of mouth and a reputation is a great start. And a lot of people kind of consider starting their own practice or their own business based on that. They feel they've developed enough of a following or enough of a skill set that it might make sense for them. But that is not reliable. That is not scalable. You often will get so successful that you are a victim of your own success because you can't focus on marketing and sales because you've got enough word of mouth, and then there's no time to do anything that would grow or scale the business. So you need that person as first and foremost, and you need a real strategy for sustainable growth and sustainable client base over time. Otherwise, you could have a really great year or two.
Yeah, and then they themselves, their own, like you said, their own success becomes the limiting factor.
Yeah,
because they've got to service all those folks. That's really good advice. So the next thing we want to talk about, really important, as a business leader who has now decided the time is right to incorporate artificial intelligence to various degrees inside your firm. And my assumption is I'm at the bar associations. I was just at a meeting in Phoenix. The CEO of Clio gave the talk. It was all about AI. The whole conference was all about AI. You can't go anywhere in legal with folks not talking about AI.
Right.
And everyone's got their own unique take on it. Some people do the whole never going to do it. Other people do the whole ethics concerns. Other people, everyone's got their deal. But you've decided to make a significant investment in AI. So again, for the folks who are listening to this podcast, as a business person who is running a law firm, what were some of the factors that went into your considerations and ultimately the decision to make the investment?
That's a great question. And I think one of the biggest factors, and to your point, everyone is talking about AI, and that trickles all the way and holds true for our clients. One of the biggest reasons is to be responsive to what clients and future clients are going to want. You can't kind of throw a stone without hearing someone talking about AI. And as a business that provides services, you need to make sure that you're always looking at what your clients are going to be asking for, what they're going to want. They're going to want to know, are you ahead of the time? Are you leveraging technology? Are you looking at AI as an opportunity to improve service, shrink my bill, get me the research faster, whatever it may be? Again, it's funny because one of those hallmarks of being a business is that you're considering your clients. It's not just providing services in a vacuum and someone's buying it on the computer across the world and we never meet them. And we talk to these people. We must be responsible to them. And I think that's one of the kind of responsibilities that I have, is to make sure that our positioning in the market is as a leader, and as a leader in the sense that our clients know that we're on top of everything and that we're looking at opportunities and ways to make the experience better. That actually reminds me, one of the things that Jeff said when he set out to start a firm, and this is before I knew him, he had been in an overhead sharing arrangement for 14 years, I believe. Yeah. And he kind of had hit that burnout spot of, is this all there is? And I don't like the way law is being practiced, and I want to change the world. It was one of those moments, the Jerry Maguire moments, like who's coming with me?
Totally.
Right?
He's got that vibe. I get it.
Yeah, it's got that vibe. So he set out to change the way that law was being practiced. And I think a lot of the best practices that we have and the way that we run this firm and service our clients is we compete on customer service all day long. We make sure that people can answer the phone and speak with a lawyer very quickly. We believe that quality is kind of hard to compete on because a lot of customers, clients, they don't know the difference in quality. So it's kind of tricky. Price is always a moving target. But customer service, people will never forget how they feel working with your brand. And Jeff set out to kind of establish a firm that did things differently. And that kind of has woven itself through a lot of the cultural decisions that we make here. And AI is just another kind of feather in that cap of, we don't quite understand it, but it's a foregone conclusion. We want to know more, and we want to make sure that we are responsive to those clients who ask us, how are you leveraging AI? Am I getting the best possible product, paying the right price, and feeling like you guys are on top of things and like you're leaders in the field? So I have to be, kind of cognizant of that, and we've got to answer that question for our clients.
Are those conversation starting to happen now? Because it feels like a couple of years ago, everybody, I use the analogy of kind of lawyers didn't want to admit. It was like everybody was using ChatGPT and open source AI, which is not great for some things. And if you ask them, it was kind of like wink, nod, no, you know. And now it's almost like from some of our our clients, they're saying their clients are now saying, "Hey, you're using AI, right?" Because
yes, they want it.
They don't want to get a form for $12,000 that, you know, they're like, I know you spent, you know, and so are clients actually starting to have that dialogue with you?
Yes, definitely. Especially some of the, you know, we work primarily in the healthcare space, and that spans everything from lab and pharmacy to peptide lab, home health agencies, DME companies, physician practices, and larger medical staffs, things like that. So we cover every area of healthcare, and I think healthcare is especially sensitive to technological development and kind of looking for, well, I'm dealing with AI here, surely you guys must be as well. So we're getting those questions, and we want to have a good answer. And I think it's okay to say, I don't know, but I'm working on figuring it out. I don't know, but I'm looking to, you know, we made the decision to partner with Faster Outcomes, and it was less so about the fact that AI is a real thing and more so about like, these are people we can work with to find out what the benefits of AI are. So finding trusted partners and people that we've worked with for a long time and known for a long time, you know, that was a huge decision for us. Was we got to like who we're working with, because we're going to have a lot of dumb questions, and I want to feel comfortable asking them and making sure that what we're doing is what our clients want. It's working how we want it to work, and we have people that we can kind of speak in layman's terms to understand those implications and exactly what we're building. So that is another factor as well. I mean, responsive to clients, but also we want to be on a team of people who are building something that we're sure is going to be something that benefits everyone.
Do you ever see a world where that becomes part of your marketing material? Florida Healthcare is proud to announce the integration of.
I have to tell you, I'm that contrarian thing kind of holds true. And because nobody wants to say it, I really want to say it.
I can see it. It's going to be.
I think it's worth saying, and I think it's interesting to put it out there. And then again, it's almost like you're creating a focus group about what the clients want. So if I put it out there, then I can hear the questions that get asked as a result. You know, if I say, you know, we're proud to announce we're using AI, ask us how. You know, that allows me an opportunity again to speak with clients and ask them questions and really make sure that what this business, not just the service delivers, but what the business delivers is a world-class experience, which is what we're focused on. So I do, and I probably will. And
I can see it. I'm telling you. Good for you. It's like, hey, you know what? Embrace it, right?
Years ago, we've always kind of gone against the grain, but years ago, we had a lot of clients, and I believe it was the behavioral healthcare space, addiction treatment centers and whatnot. And they were coming to us with, you know, employment contracts kind of written on napkins. Is this okay? Is this good? And we were frustrated because we thought it was simply a matter of education. And lawyers are notorious for sort of hiding the ball. And we said, you know what? We want to educate people. So we're going to put out a ton of forms for free that people can see, medical director agreement, you know, space lease. And man, we got a lot of heat on that. People saying, I'm calling the bar. You can't give this stuff away.
Because you're giving stuff away. Wow.
But the thing is, you're giving away information in an attempt to educate. You're not giving away, quote, the secret sauce, which is us, and which is that legal knowledge and that way of doing things. But man, we got a lot of heat. So I look forward to letting the secret out of the bag that we're using AI and seeing what kind of heat we get for that.
You probably ended up not only getting a lot of heat, but getting a lot of great educated clients out of it, I bet, too.
I think so. And I think that's cool. There's a, gosh, that kind of bell curve of acceptability in the marketplace, and those first 2% are raving fans. So those guys always have cool stuff to say. I want to talk to them.
Yeah. So here's the $1 million question that I've been dying to ask how you think about this, because people ask me in the legal profession all the time, is some of the pushback you get if you've got a traditional billable hour law firm, billable hour model, and I'm saying to them, hey, by the way, I would love to help you be more efficient, save time. And in their brain, it goes, well, why would I want to do that?
Yeah.
Right? Why would I want to save time equals less billable hours equals decreased profitability? So in your mind, how do you and Jeff navigate, okay, we want to be more efficient. We want to, and I love the concept of, hey, we want to provide the best service we can for our clients. And if that means incorporating AI, that's what we're going to do. And I think that's an absolute, incredibly noble place to come from as a business. So, but how do you square that? Meaning, okay, we're going to be more efficient and it's not going to affect profits.
So, we do bill by the hour, and in that kind of continuum, there's a lot of opportunity just in simple ways for the attorney to save time while working on the project. And it may not necessarily be on the legal work product, but for instance, indexing their research in a way that makes it very quick to pull up the data that they need to create a form, indexing emails in such a way that, they've encountered this issue 25 times. And this is kind of the approach, and it kind of, you're looking at results rather than trying to recreate things in your mind. So I don't think there's necessarily a shortcut to providing that legal expertise and guidance on certain matters, regardless of how you bill. But in that billable hour continuum, there's processes that you have to go through that are just a normal part of, kind of providing that service that can absolutely be made more efficient and should be made more efficient so that look at just the concept of having, kind of those eyes focused on the legal project and not worried about, I don't know how to sort through these files and I'm trying to find this form and I don't remember where I put it. Not distraction. You don't want distraction. Now, that's in the billable hour model. It can streamline a lot of the process and sort of quote administrative things that attorneys are doing, which typically are not being billed for anyway. Those administrative, let me just say I had to format it. And, I'm pulling in provisions from other contracts and the formatting is wrong. Having something universal that makes it a little bit sleeker and more unified, that's something that we wouldn't have billed for in the first place. So it doesn't affect it at all. Now, there's another way of billing, which we also allow here, which is a flat fee or value billing, where we're able to create, opportunities for, maybe it's a preparation of a document. And, without getting into, we're not using templates, but we are preparing a document. And there's a certain value to a medical practice, for instance, of having an employment contract that's a template that they can use again and again. So it doesn't make sense to bill by the hour anyway. So it can help, create a margin on that flat fee or that value bill that might be slightly increased that we already offer anyway. So it might just make that margin, this much better. And I think clients really like the certainty of that type of billing anyway, which is why we do it. We say it's not going to be more than this. And then as long as everyone is in agreement that that's an ethical, fair price, then how fast you get it done in terms of value billing is not relevant.
How are you not teaching on the bar circuit right now?
They don't want to hear from me.
Business and AI 101.
Yeah. One of the reasons I'm the CEO is also because non-lawyers cannot own law firms. And there's been some pushback on that. And there's some firms there's actually a firm out in Arizona, I believe, that's doing that in a different way. But I think that a lot of firms, especially some of the bigger ones, they see the value of having business minds working on those businesses. But we just haven't gotten to a point where non-lawyers can actually own the firms. So we get cool titles like CEO and we sort of stay thinking about AI and things like that. But maybe someday the bar would hate me.
I'll go with you. First of all, anywhere you want to go, we should take our show on the road and integrate business best practices for law firms 101.
Yes.
Make a killing.
So
let me ask you this though.
I was just going to say, it's missing in healthcare too. Doctors get out of school, extensive school. They've worked so hard and they get thrown into medical practice, and operations and business is missing there too. So, you spend so much time perfecting your craft, and that's amazing. And you become excellent at something, but that has nothing to do with being in business. And that's kind of like the dirty little secret of any, service business.
I think that's amazing. And you can tell the way you're thinking about this because you and I had another conversation, and one of the conversations we had around, you have this incredibly gifted lawyer, Jeff Cohen, one of the first boarded healthcare lawyers, and he's got this decade of work that spans 4 years, right? Mm-hmm. And that's incredibly valuable. And one of the issues that came up in a recent study, in a mid-law study, was, list your top 3 concerns. The first concern was AI in general. The second was succession planning, and succession planning for sustainable growth.
Yep.
And you figured out a way in your mind's eye to connect the dots with AI
Yes.
and succession planning. So talk about your thinking around that.
Yeah. So, Jeff, so actually, Florida is the only state that I believe offers board certification in healthcare law. So he was from that first class that came out, and that was in the late 80s. So he's got, he's been practicing in healthcare since then. He got right into it. I believe he's with the Florida Medical Association early on in the early 90s, and a couple other firms that people would probably know the names of. But over those nearly 40 years, he's made plenty of mistakes. And that's what I'm focused on. As someone who's responsible for growth, I have no problem with mistakes, but I don't want to make them twice. So when you're dealing with a younger lawyer, often the way to learn is to make mistakes and you kind of do things better. But culturally, I want to make sure that everything that Jeff has learned and his experience, really not on the legal knowledge side, but on the business side, gets put into the processes and procedures and protocols and best practices that we have in the firm, so that culturally we have, kind of like this secondary version of him that will transcend his legacy. So, even if you had 40 years to spend with someone, which nobody does, especially in this business, you're not going to absorb everything. So to create some guardrails around the way that we practice and the way that the attorneys here practice, not in a sense to limit them, but to show them culturally, this is what we set out to do, and this is the way that we do things here. Now, it may not be the same at every firm, but we want to make sure that that value proposition from a brand perspective and a business perspective remains true for our clients long after Jeff is gone. And that is something that I think is very difficult to do, is to create a warm handoff when you're dealing with clients, but it's really difficult to do, to warm hand off the firm to other attorneys. And I'm kind of looking at that and saying, what can I take from Jeff's body of work?
Genius.
And what can I create protocols with that will allow the attorneys who haven't had the benefit of 40 years of mistakes and learning and experience, that they can at least go, okay, well, Jeff would think of it this way, or, this protocol kind of sets out Jeff's process, and what we've discovered is the best process for, ensuring our interests and are aligned with our clients and things like that. So whatever the objective may be, we really want to keep that going. And I really want to keep that going as I sort of sit on the fence of two generations here. I've been with Jeff for almost 16 years, and we have a new attorney here. He's not new in practice, but he's new as a partner here, named Carlos Arce. And, he's a younger guy. He's been in practice for 10 or 12 years, something like that. And he'll be positioned to kind of step into that role over time. And I want to make sure he has what he needs, not just the benefit of my having worked with Jeff, but Jeff having service clients and, everything that he's learned and the way we do things. So,
and to your point, there's only so much you can learn. And then when that person's gone, every day you're away from it, right? It kind of erodes what had been built. And I love the idea of basically preserving his legacy, the ability to chat with Jeff long after Jeff is gone, right? Gain insights from that. And even turn it into, the way you're thinking about this, turning into marketing assets, right? So his body of work, tell me how you thought about that when you said, hey, one of the things I want to do, not only preserve that body of work and his legacy, transfer of knowledge, but also what can we learn from that to appeal to a wider client?
In healthcare, everything is regulated. So the regulatory nuances are especially pertinent, but more so the landscape awareness that Jeff has, having worked in healthcare and evolving wellness over the many years that we've been doing this. Knowing the law is not enough. You must know the landscape. You must know the instances where the landscape affected how the law was interpreted. Being able to point to, many, many years of email correspondence and work product, and distill that down to something that an attorney can go, okay, maybe I'm searching an issue, related to anti-kickback or Stark law. And I'm able to look at how Jeff has approached this in a distilled and digestible version, in the past. That would be amazing. So we're trying to build that as well.
Look at you guys. All in. AI, all in.
We're all in. We're all in. And, I had a joke, everyone says it's artificial intelligence. That's what it stands for. And I thought, but you do need some authentic intelligence to apply it properly. And in a business context, I think sometimes it is hard to zoom out and get eyes on that business and figure out where it can go and how it can make the most sense. And luckily, I'm in a position where that's my responsibility. So I love being able to look at stuff and go, it's cool to go, I'm the guy who's supposed to be the dumbest guy in the room. Ask questions, learn more. What can we learn? What can we do better? What is out there that I don't know about? I like not knowing. I like the opportunity to learn.
Genius. I love your
Genius.
attitude and approach. And because, by the way, it's the folks who go into it knowing what they don't know and being okay saying, you know what?
Yeah.
I'm pretty confident. I don't know. Those are the folks who tend to go the fastest. It's the ones who say, I got a pretty good understanding of what's going on here. As soon as someone tells me
Right. I don't want to know. I want to know that I don't know so that someone way smarter than me
that's
can
how I am.
Yeah.
I
Well,
like
plus there was also, the other decision to use AI was just primarily the threat of having a drink with you. So
yeah.
we're going to stick with that.
Well, I can't wait to get down there and hang out. It's going to be fun. And it's going to be I can't wait. I'm so excited about this. Have someone who's been always involved in technology, although not a technologist myself, but like you, I appreciate the value of technology, right? And so I always find myself, whether it was startups around the internet back in, early 2000s, or even in elective medicine, right? Which had this incredible growth from, 2004 to, 2014 to 2024, that growth period for elective medicine and what's happening with bioscience and laser technology.
Wow.
Again, I'm not a laser physicist and I'm certainly not a plastic surgeon, but I appreciate what those, that technology can do for folks, whether it's humanity or business processes or productivity. So I'm always grateful. And the best folks to bump into are the ones who say, I'm going to find a way to use this practically.
Right.
Not just in the abstract. And
that endless curiosity, you have to remain curious. If you don't want to be curious about things and you don't want to wonder how you can be better or what you're doing wrong or what might be better, for your clients, then you shouldn't be in business.
100%. All right. So as we wind down, what's coming up for Florida healthcare law, for Autumn Piccolo, for Jeff Cohen? What do you guys got going on in the next 6 to 12 months? And
Okay, so Florida Healthcare Law Firm, we're always looking for good people. So we're always looking for healthcare attorneys who've got that business background and want to, build their own premium private practice with us at this firm. That's first and foremost. I'm always focusing on growing the team with the right people. Florida Healthcare Law Firm will also be doing some events. I think we've got in March, we'll be at the HEAL conference over in St. Pete on the west coast of Florida there. One of our clients and friends and someone who's associated with the American IV Association, Chris Seitz, he'll be putting that on through his platform, Guardian MD. The American IV Association will be there as well. We've got a lot of growth objectives there, so we'll be kind of traveling through American
what's the date
IV
on that
as
again?
well. The HEAL conference, it's March 6th, 7th in St. Pete, Florida. That looks really good. I'm excited to attend that. We've got members of the firm that will be speaking there. And then on the American IV Association side, I believe Jeff will be speaking on behalf of the organization. So that should be a good one. And I think we're going to be in Texas a couple times. We've got...
we'll have to sync up. We want to make sure that if they're good shows, we definitely would love to be there with you.
And then the American IV's annual conference, the Vibe conference, which we did in Boston last year, up your way. It's actually going to be in Orlando this year, up in Orlando in September. So we've got a pretty full calendar this year. And whether it's Florida Healthcare Law Firm or American IV Association or some of the other ventures that I've partnered with, I think I'll be out and about. So we'll definitely catch up.
We're definitely going to catch up. And if folks want, let's say there is an attorney listening to this who says, you know what?
Yeah,
I'm not too far from them. This seems like a cool organization. What's the website?
The website is floridahealthcarelawfirm.com. And you can go on there. And if you watch the video that's on there on the career page and you still want to talk to me, send me an email.
Amen. You guys heard it. They're hiring. Let's go. And so lastly, you mentioned faster outcomes. We're grateful for that. If you could, sitting where you are now, wave a magic wand, and in 12 months, after you've made this, investment in time, technology, and in the future of you're future-proofing your law firm. What would that
Mhm.
12 months ago, you know what this is going to look like?
Wow, I think it would be more of a feeling. I don't know if it would necessarily look different because we flex and grow, we add attorneys, attorneys leave, things happen. But I would feel that I had, kind of accomplished the mission that Jeff set out to accomplish, which is to change the way that law is practiced. If I can capture, his body of actual legal work as well through some of the stuff that we're building and feel that I have that in place for the future of the firm, I would feel that we are ready for the next 50 years and to carry on the legacy and also the proposition of value that I've built around this brand that I'll feel good about selling for 50 more years because of what I've done here. So that's what it would feel like. And it would probably look a lot the same, me sitting in my office and taking Zooms and hanging out with you guys. So
Words
hopefully.
of wisdom.
Yeah.
From,
Yep.
and like I said, this is our first recorded episode. I was so excited that you agreed to come and spend time with us. I know you're super busy, so I'm super great. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Want to thank our listeners for joining us today. Legal Keys, brought to you by Faster Outcomes, the ultimate AI-powered legal intelligence platform. And you all can find us at fasteroutcomes.com. So,
Yes.
Autumn, once again, we appreciate you joining us. And to our listeners, share, like, and we'll see you next week.
We'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Tim.